Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hardscape Growth Show. I'm your host, Alex from TechnoBlock, and today we're joined by Becky Fidler. You may know her on Instagram at Becky Fidler Fitness, and today's going to be a pretty interesting show because we're going to talk about the role of fitness and nutrition in a successful hardscape career, and you're our first woman guest on the show. So it's a very male-dominated industry that we know. And I want to talk about that with you, too, because you're someone who's definitely proven that women can definitely hang with the guys on the job sites.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm all right. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us on the show. So you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? You're from Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
A lot of our listeners are from PA.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and you work at Days Lawn Service. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself personally, what you do there, and kind of how you fell into the industry.
Well, if I started in the industry in 2011, and I was basically looking for a way to make more money. Prior to landscaping, I did just answer phones for a phone company for like $8 an hour. So
Okay.
I was looking for something more fulfilling, I guess, and looking for better pay. So I tried my hand in landscaping. Little did I know that I would absolutely suck at it. And I was nowhere near the I was basically like the most entry level employee that anybody could hire. I have never used a weed eater, never used any type of 2-cycle, never knew how to mix anything, nothing. Never been on a
Nothing. Just
wheelbarrow. Nope,
as green
nothing.
as can be in
As
the worst sense possible for the green industry.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
You got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah, and it was definitely a hard year. It was very much a gut check for sure. I was not favored for the first couple years, I want to say. Um, and the first year I didn't do too many hardscapes. It was the second year where the guy that was doing the hardscapes with my boss at he went somewhere else. He found a different job, didn't want to
Okay.
do landscaping anymore, hardscapes. It was just too hard on him, he said, and he just wanted something just a little bit easier on his body, which is fine. Everybody, everybody's different or whatever. So that left a spot open, and my boss was kind of like, I need somebody for this spot. And there was basically two crews at the time. So one maintenance crew and one hardscape crew.
Okay.
And nobody really wanted to step up to the position, and the people that would step up couldn't because they were needed elsewhere. So I stepped up, which was another gut check in itself. I
Yeah, for
weighed
sure.
maybe 112 pounds.
Okay.
And I'm lifting these 78-pound blocks. The very first one that I put in the ditch was upside down. And my boss just sat there laughing at me. I'm like, what? What? And he goes, it's upside down. Oh, well, you gotta let me know so I can do this right. But over
Maybe let me know
time,
before I put it down.
yeah. Because, it's only like 80 pounds. It's only
Yeah,
like three
exactly.
quarters of my weight. But crash coursed basically my second year, I believe, or so, in hardscaping, and just totally just learned everything, ups and downs. My boss said I would ask him a million questions, and I was like, well, that's good. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn as fast as I can. I'm watching him do, and I'm trying to learn while watching him and stuff. So over time, like, I become pretty good at just basically being the grunt and just kind of, following orders, making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to cut with a table saw rather than, the handheld chop
Yep.
saw. So that quite, you know, totally new at that too. um, and then after a while, I ended up going to college to be a physical fitness specialist in between everything. And I had told my boss if I knew there was like a hardscape, because I fell in love with hardscaping, just absolutely fell in love with it. Uh, and I told him, if there's a hardscaping major, I would go for that because I just love the changing of the entire job site. You
Yeah.
could totally transform somebody's property with just one hardscape. It was
Yeah.
just mind blown.
Oh, absolutely. That's the best part of the job
Oh,
is
for
just
sure.
doing that transformation, and you're not just changing their property, like you're changing the client's life too a lot of the time
Oh
because like
yeah.
it's you've changed their home forever.
Oh yeah. And then like the looks on their faces because we don't I I haven't seen my boss give out any renderings of any hardscapes
Okay.
for customers. So basically, they had an idea, kind of, sort of what they were getting. Either a walkway or
Yeah,
a
they have like
wall
the
or
2D
whatever.
plan, but when you're not in the business, it's hard to visualize.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then the customers are like, yeah, I want this and I want this, and then they pick out their stuff, but they really don't know what it looks like until it's actually in.
Mhm.
So the looks on their faces just, it appealed to me. So it just encouraged me to do better and better and better each and every time. Um, so in between of everything, I went to college and got an associate's degree as a physical fitness specialist.
Okay.
Um, and then right after college, I went and got my NSCA certification to become a personal trainer. Now, with uh, that in mind, I noticed with my love of fitness and everything, because I was in sports and everything um, to everything. Like my whole childhood, I was in sports, so I always had a love of fitness.
Mhm.
And then I noticed as a, a laborer or a grunt or whatever, I knew that people weren't as physically fit coming off of the winter into the spring. Like it was like kind of like somebody showing up for a football game without going on to all the practices
Yeah.
prior. So it's
They
like
show up to training camp out of shape.
right,
Yeah.
right, and it's like wow, like why would you want to? Because everybody's like, oh, you guys suffer through like the first 3 weeks, and I'm thinking, why would you want to
You
do
don't
that?
have to suffer. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can move. Like I understand people plow snow or whatever. Like last
Mhm.
year, we were hit pretty hard. I remember being in a plow truck for hours on end. I think one plowing, I think we did like 30 hours worth of plowing. I was like, geez, Louise. And it's hard to get in your training or your nutrition the
Mhm.
right way whenever that stuff is going on.
Yeah,
So,
like the job is physically exhausting, and even plowing, even if it may not be physically exhausting, it's mentally exhausting because the level of concentration you have to have driving that truck or driving the plow, not hitting anything. It's
oh
usually
yeah.
at night. Like it's tough.
Oh yeah, it's definitely plowing is definitely like a mental thing, totally different animal from,
Hmm.
your spring and summer stuff. But with people, basically being laid off over the winter, you don't keep your physical fitness level that you've attained even if you didn't train prior and you got in shape while working, using your work as your training,
Hmm.
basically. Um, which is, in my opinion, not the best way to do it because that's how injuries happen.
Okay.
So, with that in mind, if we all train prior to going to work, we're going to be in better physical shape. You're going to be less sore the first few weeks. We all know what it feels like coming back after the first few weeks.
Yeah.
We're super sore.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I remember coming back and I I remember the very first year I did hardscapes, my hands, after so many hardscapes, we go from job to job to job to job because he had so many hardscapes that year that we couldn't catch a break. I mean, and my hands, I would wake up and my hands would be cramped like this.
Yeah.
And
It's
it, if I would have drank water and I would have known about nutrition and I would have known about stretching, I probably wouldn't have been as sore, or I wouldn't have been as stiff, or I wouldn't have been as dehydrated.
so was it because you said you did sports your whole life, so fitness, nutrition, they've always been part of your life. But was it when you went and got that associate's degree that you understood the importance of applying it into your work life or preparing for your work life to support your work? Or was it when you became a personal trainer? Or was it just along the way, like after the first few weeks, you're like, you know what, I can be better than this? Like when did it occur to you that this was so important?
Well, because I was so terrible, I was so green my first couple years of landscaping that I knew it was important to become stronger. And so my boyfriend went out and got this at home bench. And it was some dinky thing that you could pick up and throw around, and like a 5-pound barbell with some interchangeable dumbbells. And you can actually see the photo. Like if you scroll down all the way down my Instagram, it's my very first photo on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So we were up in an attic. It was always hot. And I knew the importance of becoming stronger. I knew I had to become stronger for my job, because if I did not become stronger and if I did not get more fit, I would not last in the landscaping field, let alone the hardscaping field. I wouldn't be there. So just out of my own curiosity, I researched how to get stronger. I was never lifting weights in high school or anything like that, so I was totally green to that too. So I think my very first time I ever tried it, I was lifting like a 50-pound barbell. I was squatting 50 pounds. That was it. And I struggled with that. And I struggled with becoming stronger. And so while trying to learn how to become stronger and more fit for my job, I was trying to basically streamline a way that I could just do it faster. Okay, because I needed to get stronger and more fit like now, not, a year from now. I needed it now. So I figured that college would basically give me that edge to help me along. It would kind of be like, hey, here's this and this and this, kind of like a coach. But I know it sounds like extreme to go and spend that much money out of college basically for a coach, but I knew that by doing this, I never had in mind that I would ever become a personal trainer or anything like that. But I figured if I knew the ins and outs of it, I could become stronger, faster, fitter, very, very quick. And I did. And that paid off in the long run.
Yeah.
So just by my own, of need to become stronger, that's the only reason why I went to college to begin with, for landscaping. So
I think that, I'm so impressed with the level of dedication that you displayed there, because it's one thing to join a new industry that you've never been a part of, you don't really know anything about. That's already a big step, right? And then you're doing it and you're getting better, but you're realizing you're not strong enough, you don't know enough, all this stuff. So you're asking a million questions. You're always watching. You're trying to get better. As soon as someone leaves and there's clearly a need for someone to step up, you step up. You realize you need to be stronger, and you end up investing in yourself by going to college to understand your body better, to understand fitness better, so that you can perform better because you've wanted to earn more money to support your family, and you're in love with the profession and what it does and how it makes you feel. So you want to do it as long and as well as you possibly can. And it seems so simple, yeah, well, you train to be stronger, to do better, and do it for a long time. But at the same time, it's incredibly challenging to do everything that you did over a short period of time. That's over a couple of years, and now you've been in the industry for 10 years, but the first few years, like you invested a ton of time and energy and effort. And not only that, this is the thing that I'm curious about. Like, it's one thing to do, to train in the off season and everything, to be able to be prepared to perform as soon as the snow melts and it's time to go. But it's another thing to maintain that routine or something similar during the season, because you're working outside all day. It's hot. You're physically exerting yourself. It's long hours. You still have your kids to worry about, and yet you still get the workouts in every day. Where do you find that motivation?
That is the biggest question that fitness professionals get asked. Where do you get your motivation? And the best answer a fitness professional can tell you, and the most honest one, is that motivation is a load of BS.
Okay.
It will get you started, okay? But it's not what keeps you going. It is basically like smoke and mirrors, okay? It's not there for the long run. It's not going to keep you going 100% of the time. So you have to become disciplined, and you have to become dedicated, and you have to form a habit. How long does that habit take to form? Well, it actually depends on the individual. Some people longer than others. Let's say if you have a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, even if, we're around our coworkers all day. If you don't have that support system around you, chances are you have a better chance of falling off. So your main people that you're around, are they pro getting better? Are they pro, yeah, let's go have some fun right now and worry about getting better, later?
So the circle of friends or the people you work with, just the social circle, has a big influence on. Well, I mean, this is no secret though. Like, take the average of the 5 friends, and that's where you are. Like, we've all heard that before, and that's not untrue. But you're saying motivation, it just gets your butt to the gym the first, whatever, month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. But to sustain that, you need to have the discipline. You need to be dedicated to that cause, and you need to make it a habit. I mean, it applies to everything in life, I guess, eh?
Oh, yeah. Like, I wouldn't even say motivation lasts a month. It might last you a week, 2 at the most. I'm in a transformation challenge.
Okay.
I'm involved in one for a year-long one, and I'm involved in 4 quarter transformation challenges. My motivation at the beginning of each one, I'd say, is a 10 out of 10. Week 2 is 7 out of 10. Week 3, yeah, you're looking at, I'm I'm struggling.
You don't want to do it. You're just like everyone else. Just you have the dedication and the discipline to see it through.
Yep, I know that if I do not put in the work, I will not get the results that I want. It's just that simple.
It's easy math.
Yep. If you want C, you need to do A and B to get C. That's it.
It's not that complicated when you put it that way. makes me feel like I definitely need to be working out after getting home from a day at the office. That's for
But
sure.
you can do it anytime you want. There for a while, I was doing it, before work because I
Mm,
felt more motivated to get up prior to work, get it in because I knew if after work there was no
you're
way I was gonna.
gassed.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm done. And then recently, I'm swapped that out because I'm tired of getting it up early. The the days aren't starting as early. It's still dark out.
Yeah. So
So,
you want to. Well, I mean, as long as you're getting it done, it doesn't
oh
mean
yeah.
that you always have to do it at a specific time. But again, it's that dedication to getting it done. You mentioned something I want to ask. I want to circle back to it. You're saying like that circle of friends or coworkers or whatever that social circle around you is. How was that? Because, like we said at the beginning, it's a male-dominated industry. There's no secret. It is what it is right now. But more and more women are taking their place, and rightfully so, in the industry. Women have a lot of other qualities that men don't. And I don't want to. I don't want to. I'll be careful with what I say, but like you need both to have a good team
Oh
because they
yeah.
have different perspectives, different ways of doing things, different ways of approaching things, and that's what helps you get different, just a different way of getting things done, and you can attack something from all angles. At least that's my belief. So I'm all for more women in the industry. But 10 years ago, on top of it, when from a hardscape perspective, we didn't have access to as many fancy tools and vacuum lifters and all this
Mhm.
stuff that really reduces the importance of having someone who is physically capable to do the job. Today, we're at a point where it's someone who can be more mentally capable of doing the job. Like they're smart enough, they understand what we're trying to do and how to do it. There's still some physical exertion, even on the most sophisticated equipment crew. But what was it like for you then? Because, like you're saying, if you're not with people who are supporting you and want you to get better and want you to do better, it's very difficult to succeed. So, were you finding yourself in a very welcoming environment, or was it like, she's the new girl, I don't give her a week?
There's a lot of mentality of the new employee doesn't get a good start, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to, badmouth anybody because they all helped me become better at my
Mm-hmm.
career one way or another. Somebody helped me in some way. Everybody on the team helped me in some way. But was I welcomed with open arms? I wouldn't say that I was given too much time. I, like I said, I was as green as they come. And whenever you're trying to get a job done as fast as you can, um, and you got to be capable of wheeling wheelbarrows into a back of a dump truck on a plank, and you can't do it, and you dump every load, off the side of the plank because you're not strong enough or you don't weigh enough to push that wheelbarrow into the back of the
Mm-hmm.
truck. You're not as favored as somebody that can actually physically do the work.
What does that feel like when you find yourself in that position?
Not very good. Not very good. It doesn't make you feel very good at all. Um, and I think if I wouldn't have the no options mentality, or I'm not a quitter, and if I would have been okay with quitting, I would have.
Mm.
I mean, nobody would have stayed, I guess, with
'Cause
the
you're
experience.
coming in. It's a rough environment, and you're struggling immensely.
Oh yeah.
It's easy to quit then.
Oh yeah. It's easy to quit, but what I did was I thought to myself after I don't remember what year. It was the first couple years, within the first couple years. I thought to myself, I'm just going to get stronger, I'm going to get fitter, and I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to do the work just as good as they do. Over time, yeah, I'm going to get better. I may not be good right now, but I will get to where they are, and I might even get better. And that's the mentality you got to have, because it's like, I don't want to say dog eat dog, but like whenever you need to get a job done, you're not going to take somebody that doesn't know anything or can't do anything to a job. So you got to pull your weight, because if you're not pulling your weight, somebody else is pulling it for you. And it's already, like you said, it's already a hard job. Who wants to pull somebody else's weight plus their own?
Yeah. Do
You
you feel
know,
that people that members of your team at the time almost resented you for that? That they felt that they had to carry your weight too, and that's what made it them maybe even rougher with you?
I I can only, I can't. I'm
And we're
assumptions
not
still,
calling people out. Like it's just like
right?
it's. I'm
um,
just curious because it's tough, right? Like it's tough on both sides. I can empathize with you in your position because my first landscaping job, I was 16 years old. I definitely wasn't as strong as the men I was working with who had been doing this for decades. And the same thing, run that wheelbarrow up that plank up into that truck, and you bail, and you bail again, and you bail again,
yep.
and you start to feel like, man, like you feel the other one's
Oh
upset
yeah.
because like now they're waiting for you to scoop all that back up, put it back in, get back up in there, dump it, come back so they can reload you. So like I've been there too, and like for me, I felt really bad about it. I felt like I'm letting the team down, and that's a horrible feeling.
Oh yeah. Because even at one point, like, it ended up getting to the point where my boss was told, actually the guy that was hardscaping, um, he told him, just take her wheelbarrows up the plank and dump them for her. So it's
Yeah,
embarrassing to take your wheelbarrow over to that plank and
and then
stand there and wait for somebody to dump it like you're a stinking little child, basically. And it's
yeah,
just like totally embarrassing. So, anytime somebody wasn't watching, you try again, and then hope to God you didn't spill it. Like you could back
yeah,
it off the plank a little bit,
yeah,
and if that person was there to do it for you, then you let them do it. But you kept trying in the meantime to so that you could get it at one point or another.
yeah. But that's where that dedication is. That the perseverance to keep doing it is because you knew like I want to do this.
Hmm. I wasn't gonna allow anybody to tell me that I cannot do something. Like if somebody stuck a finger in my face and told me you can't do this, I'd be like, "Watch me. I may
Yeah,
not get it the first time.
yeah,
It may look ugly, but I get it."
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. Motivation may not last long, but it's probably at its peak then
Oh yeah,
for a lot of people.
oh yeah,
I know
for
I'm like
sure.
that too. Oh, I can't. Oh, really? Okay.
Yep, yep,
Yeah. Let's talk about the fitness aspect a little bit, and maybe now, obviously, I mean, you have the education, but obviously, like every body's different.
hmm
Every well, I mean, every body's different for multiple reasons, not just physically, but the history as well. Like I have a lot of knee and hip injuries from hockey, so like the things that I need to do to train are very different from someone who's never had those injuries. So I guess that's my disclaimer here before we get into this part. But in your
yep.
opinion, what are some of the things that hardscapers have wrong about physical fitness, nutrition, and like we talked about, just expecting the job to be your training program. That's how you
Yep.
get injured. That's a
hmm
great way to get injured. But what else?
Well, a lot of like movement mechanics that people do. So, like, if you were to go pick up a block off of the pallet, you're not gonna. Chances are somebody's not gonna bend at the knees and hinge at the hips. Hinging at the hips means basically you're sticking your butt out, and what it would look like is somebody actually looking like they're gonna sit in a chair. Most of the time, you're gonna see people bend at the hips and just fold over.
Yeah,
And that's not what we want. We want our legs to support all of that weight. So, in order to get better at that, you have to practice movement mechanics. So, what I did, and I'm not a physical therapist or anything, just a personal trainer. Um, so, I actually took I spent $100 and got some lessons from a physical therapist. And what she did was assessed my movements because I've had a couple of back injuries. And all she did was basically tell me to grab a broomstick, hold it against my back, and try to squat.
Oh, to force you to keep the straight,
Yep.
the upright torso.
Yep.
Okay.
Try to bend down to the ground, you know. Um, so basically, whenever you want to lift something up, you want to bend at the knees, hinge at the hips, and look like you're sitting in a chair and not just doubling over
Mm-hmm.
and lifting with your back. Because that's how you blow out discs. That's how you really injure your back. And chances are, once you injure your back, it's really, really, really hard to recover from that. And it's really hard to correct that.
Why is it so hard to recover from?
Because it takes a lot of time. And most of the time, doctors aren't correcting the problem. They're giving you a Band-Aid. So here, let's give you muscle relaxers and pain relievers.
Okay.
What happens? Yeah,
You feel
late.
fine, but yeah.
Yep, you feel fine. Oh, after 3 days, you're good. You can go back to work. What do? You do
Same
the exact
mistake again.
same thing. Right. You're not doing any corrective exercises that that you need to do. So just taking a moment to correct correct those movements so that you don't injure your back again will save you money in hospital bills, money in pharmaceuticals, just money from time off, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll save the employer or, whoever money with workman's comp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well,
so all
plus your quality
around.
of life is better if you're not injured. And if
Right.
anybody
So,
hasn't had like a nagging injury, like
oh
it
yeah.
sucks. It really does. Like you can't do the things you love to do because your body won't let you anymore. So like it's not a joke. And we have a lot of young listeners on the show too. And like, wait till you hurt yourself. Like
Yeah.
it's not a joke.
Yeah, it's not if, it's
It's
definitely a
when.
when.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's how bad is the injury? And
What are some of the other things? Because like we're told all the time, lift with your legs, lift with your legs.
mhm.
When we do the showcase projects, we like to joke a lot when we lift heavy things. Like you make sure you're lifting with your back. Lots of sharp jerking motions. Like we
Yeah.
telling them
Yeah.
everything to do wrong. Everyone laughs, but it's sometimes it's those things that make people remember them too, right? If I
Oh yeah.
catch you, I'm gonna crack the joke, and then you're like, yeah, I know. But like next time you won't do it as much. But
Yep.
what are some of the maybe the less obvious things? Because lifting heavy things is part of the job. So what else that's not just squatting to pick it up?
Um so you can work on a lot of stretching as well.
Okay.
That's going to help reduce soreness. A lot of thoracic mobility and your thoracic part of your spine is basically the middle part of your spine. So from about mid shoulder blade
Mm,
down to almost like mid low back
okay.
is your thoracic. So you want to improve that mobility because by improving that mobility, you're going to help with your shoulder mobility and it's also going to help with lower back pain.
Okay.
Because if your middle back is stiff, it's supposed to be able to extend. But if that won't extend or go backwards, okay, you're going to overcompensate with shoulders or your low back. And that's
Okay.
not good for either, which could lead to rotator cuff tears, just shoulder impingements, frozen shoulder, um, low back. There's so much that can go wrong with the low back,
Yeah.
blown disc, bulging disc, uh, a bunch of muscles are down there to basically support your
The
spine,
rest of
kind
it.
of,
Yeah.
yep, like a telephone pole. So you think of wires on a telephone pole to help
Mm-hmm.
keep it upright.
Yep.
That's
That's what
exactly
those
what.
muscles are doing.
Yep, that's all
And
that
what you're
they're doing.
saying is if that mid portion is too stiff, well then what happens, I guess, as your upper body moves, those muscles at the bottom have to do way too much work to stabilize things because it's just too stiff. It's not bending like that telephone pole example. It's not bending in the wind. It's jerking around in the wind. So the muscles are working overtime.
Yep.
And I guess the same thing up at the top because that's where your shoulders and your arms are. So if that middle part doesn't flex properly, then the upper part gets all stiff, and you need that to be fluid.
Yeah, really. Like the middle part, if your middle part of your back so stiff, you're thinking if you might have to overcompensate and stretch too far, okay? Which could pinch a whole slew of things like
In your
tendons,
shoulder.
ligaments. Yep, you got little sacs in your shoulders that are called bursa sacs,
Okay.
and they can become inflamed. When those become inflamed, you know, you're looking at shoulder mobility is not the greatest. You're
Yeah.
limited, very, very limited. Right now, because of trimming season, I'm having issues with my bicep tendon.
Okay.
Why? Because I don't stretch out my arms. You get a lot of this from moving shears,
Okay.
a lot of shortening, but if you're not stretching it the opposite way and it's
So it's the
stiff,
repetitive movements of holding those shears overhead or out in front of you. You don't get the low because you're not trimming behind you or below you. It's always up. So
yep,
that
up or
repetitive
to the
motion,
side,
the,
yep,
the tendons are tightening up, the muscles are tightening, everything's just getting tight, and
yep.
the body overcompensates the other way. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. It'll basically just overcompensate for other movements. So if you stretch, you're gonna have that full mobility.
Hmm.
It's gonna pull instead of like because whenever you work out, okay, you create these little
Little
micro trauma
tears.
tears
Yeah.
in your muscle. Okay, so what happens to that? It grows back kind of like a scar. We all know what scar tissue is. It's really
Hmm.
thick, it's really stiff, it's really hard to move.
Yeah.
Well, with stretching, now you're breaking that up and now it's pliable again.
So stretching is a it's a fun topic for me. And
Mm,
if my friend Brandon is listening, he'll I hope he's laughing now just that I mentioned his name and stretching in the same topic. But we grew up and we played hockey together. And I played goalie, and he played forward or defenseman depending on the year. But as a goalie, like you have to stretch, like you have to be flexible. It's not you cannot play the position without having a discipline to stretch often and regularly. And he never did, and he still does it. He's not much of a stretcher, but a lot of guys on the team didn't. And even on job sites, like most people, you don't see them warming up before we start the day. We're not stretching before we start the day, and I want to say there's almost like an ego thing of like, you go to the gym, you throw some weights around, like, yeah, I worked out, but there's no cool down, there's no stretching, there's no whatever. You're getting stronger, but you're getting more limited at the same time. So, what are some of the stretches that we need to consider if we're in this industry?
oh, it
Maybe
they all
top
go
three.
by different names. So
Okay.
what you can do is a straddle stretch will definitely help. That will help with the hamstrings and your glutes, which
Okay.
will help improve mobility there, improve your low back pain as well.
So, what does
Um,
that
so,
look like?
so you would want to sit down onto the floor, and you can spread your legs out just as far as what you can comfortably, and you just lean to one side, and then hold that for 30 seconds minimum, I want to say, and then lean to the other side, hold that for the same amount, and lean towards the middle, hold that for the same amount. You can do also a lunge stretch. So
Okay.
if if I'm sure you know what a lunge is. So
Yep.
you would get into a lunge position, doesn't matter which foot because we all want to do both sides. Um, and what you want to do is you just want to lean forward. what that's going to do is help stretch the front of your uh, hips.
Yeah. And that's a big one if you're like, especially just coming back to that plow season, or if you're sitting in machine all day, like your hip flexors, if you sit a lot, that creeps up on you pretty quick. And that's a good stretch to open that back up. And that has, I guess that has a significant impact on your hips, obviously, but your lower back too, because the front of your hips, if they're tight, then you're going to kind of want to lean forward a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that a lot of times like your hip flexors get tight, and that's going to tilt your hips
Your
forward.
exactly.
It's going to cause movement, inability. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be super tight, and you're trying to move right, and you can't. So your hips are leaned forward, and now you're putting a lot of pressure on your back.
Mm-hmm. So now we've stretched out our glutes and our quads. We got the hip flexors going. What else should we be looking at?
We also should be looking at a lot of thoracic mobility as well, and that's through. You can do that with a foam roller.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to take the little cylinder foam rollers,
Yep.
and they're super cheap.
Yeah, like
And you
$20
can,
on Amazon.
yeah,
Order it now. It'll be at your house tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because like they're all whatever. They'll get it to you that day if you want it. Apparently,
Yeah.
whatever. But what you want to do is you want to take it and you want to place it just below your shoulder blades,
Okay.
and all in that thoracic
That
spine
middle part
area.
that we were talking
Yep.
about. Yep.
And you can place it at all different spots. And what you want to do is you want to try to raise your arms up
Mm-hmm.
and just bend backwards over that. But before you go backwards, you want to make sure you pull your belly button to your spine, because if not, chances are you're going to arch your lower back, which is going to be like, oh, this is easy. I don't need to work this. Like, big
Oh.
deal.
Okay.
So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that our low back is straight. So we do that by pulling our belly button in towards our spine, which will keep our back straight.
Keeps that lower portion straight, allowing the middle part to flex more, which is what you're trying to do, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then you can add weight to that if you want. You don't have to.
Like what, like a medicine ball or something?
Yeah, you can use a medicine ball, or you can just use like a little 5-pound weight or a 10-pound weight. Nothing.
We're stretching. We're not strength training, right?
Right. You're not strength training, you're stretching. And you don't want to be in pain. That's a big thing. Stretch until it's uncomfortable. Don't stretch until there's a lot of pain. So.
What's a lot of pain? There's like a little pain. There's a lot of pain. Like.
Well, okay. Well, you shouldn't really feel pain at all during stretching. Like, it should feel uncomfortable, but you shouldn't feel pain.
Okay.
Like people's idea of pain is a little different.
Yeah.
From person to person. So, you got these people that will be like, oh yeah, I can do this a little more, and then they injure themselves.
Yeah, it's not a competition.
Yeah, no. It's not to see who can do whatever.
Who can stretch the most.
Yep.
What about, I mentioned warming up in the morning. Is that important?
Warming up I have seen different hardscape companies allow their employees or give their employees like a warm up prior to work, and that is great. I'm glad I'm seeing that, and that's what everybody should be doing, because it'd be like going into the gym and trying to
straight
deadlift.
from the car. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, trying to deadlift your max. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think, oh well, I can lift these blocks 100 times. Cool, but did you warm up first? Like, you don't want to lift cold. You don't want to lift whenever your body's not ready for it, because the blood flow's not there to your joints and ligaments and things like that. So that's going to be a lot stiffer, a lot harder on the joints than if you were to get some blood flow to the joints. So even if you were to do a few squats, go for a walk, 15-minute walk or a 15-minute jog, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, oh, well, that seems like a
I don't
lot
have
of
time
work.
for that.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. That's everybody's biggest ordeal. I don't have time for that. Well, you can either make time to keep yourself healthy now, or you can have to make time later in life because your body's not going to take the beating over and over and over
Yeah.
again. You got to think of your body kind of like this discontinued machine that you were born with. You can't get any parts for it. You got to take care of it.
Yeah.
So why, if you got this machine and you found out it's discontinued, are you going to baby that machine or are you going to beat it? You're probably going to baby it.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. I mean, I'll admit it's tough. Like I said, I had a bunch of injuries, and honestly, like my wife's on me to get to physio because my knee's really starting to act up again, and it's tough to make it a priority when so many other things are happening. But I kind of like what you're saying. It's almost like, well, if I don't choose to invest the time now, that time will be taken from me later at a moment where I don't get to choose. So which do you prefer?
Yep.
I've seen a lot of guys too in this industry. Well, I would say and women, but not so much. But I've seen a lot of people in this industry that they they hang them up way earlier than they should. They're just like, I just can't do it anymore. And you're like, dude, you're like 39, you're 40. What are you going to do? I don't know. I guess I'll get an office job. And you see, like, the soul is out of their eyes. And it's like, oh. And it's preventable to a degree. Like, accidents happen for sure. But
oh, yeah. Not everything's 100%, bulletproofing. But people got to learn, like, I've seen people work through injuries that they should not be working through. And it's just like, why would you risk that? It's not like, oh, let's take your shoulder off and let's replace it. Yeah, you can get aftermarket parts, but the
there's a whole rehabbing forever. And,
right.
Yeah.
Like your original body is the only body you get.
Yeah.
Sure, you can get a knee replacement, a hip replacement, and I'm sure you can get whole different other things replaced, but whatever.
Yeah.
But they're not as good as the original. It's like aftermarket parts on, I don't know, Shelby Cobra.
There you go.
Not as good.
There you go. Okay, why don't we talk about nutrition real quick? Energy drinks. I know that my friend Paver Pete has. He likes to talk about how they should not be on job sites. I don't know how he got so fired up about it, but he is. So why don't you enlighten us on that subject? Because they are all over a job site.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I have an energy drink every day.
Every day.
Every day. I was using a pre-workout for an energy drink rather than an energy drink.
Oh,
because I haven't used or I haven't done the research on energy drinks, on the effects on the body, but I did notice, like, I'll drink energy drinks for an extended period of time, and I'll be like, man, something in my gut just isn't right. Like, I don't feel good. I feel sluggish all the time. These energy drinks aren't cutting it anymore. And I know that, after a while, your body becomes tolerant to the amount of caffeine.
Yeah.
So you want to lower your caffeine content. I know it sounds ridiculous because all of us survive on caffeine after a while. You're like,
just a little bit, yeah.
You go into the year. I'm not going to have any caffeine. I'm not going to have an energy drink. And then just the first day you have
Yeah,
one.
no, it sneaks up on you. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anyone in the industry who does not live on caffeine. It's
Yeah, no.
That's just part of it. But like you're saying, the body does adjust to it. So if you're having a ton of caffeine all the time, and it starts to feel like it's not really doing it for you anymore, and you feel like you have to keep amping it up, it's maybe time to dial it back and kind of reset. Is that what you're
Yep.
saying?
Yeah, and you're going to get the crashes with dialing it back. That's just your body trying to recreate its natural energy. You can always switch if you don't want to cut out the caffeine. You can always cut it down a little bit. Maybe instead of the 300 milligram energy drink, you get the 140 milligram energy
Okay.
drink. you know, just cut it down that way. Yeah, you're going to get the headaches after a while,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll go away. Um, but the one thing I did notice was whenever I switched from energy drinks to a pre workout,
Yeah.
um, I wasn't getting as like sluggish, or I want to say my stomach and my intestines and stuff like that, my digestive system was working a lot better. And I think a lot of it has to deal with the carbonated water.
You think?
Because I think, yeah, because I've heard about it before, but like I said, I didn't do my research on it. Pretty sure that the carbonated water plays a big no no in our gut health. So I think it destroys, don't quote me on this, pretty sure it destroys the good bacteria in our gut.
Okay.
So we don't want that. We want to keep our gut healthy because that's going to allow us to digest, which just break our food down and absorb the food.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot of this, you are what you eat. That's not necessarily true. You are what your body can utilize.
Okay.
So if your body's not breaking your food down and absorbing it to be able to use it, what good's the food you're eating?
Well, I guess.
Chances are you're gonna feel sluggish. You're gonna feel full 90% of the time. You're probably gonna have like gut issues like heartburn, feel gassy or bloated. So those are all signs of a lot of gut issues. Chances are we all have gut issues. Even I do. So making diet choices that are going to be good for your gut is going to help as well.
So what are some of those choices that matter the most? Because if we're basically in our super scientific approach here, but we're basically concluding that like energy drinks is it's not necessarily bad. You just got to pay attention to how much caffeine you're ingesting on a daily basis. There's sugars. There's a bunch of other stuff. Like you have to. It's not the same as a coffee. Like you can't
Oh
say
no.
you can't say like, well, instead of a coffee, I'll have whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're not sponsored yet.
Yeah.
but it's not the same. So you got to pay attention to that. But with regards to the smart, obvious nutritional choices that we should be making, what do those look like?
Well, I'm going to say your vegetables and your fruits are the main thing is what's going to help your gut. Okay? So if you don't get in, your greens, so your leafy green vegetables, um, there are fruits with digestive enzymes like pineapple and papaya, bananas. Those are great, like go to snacks. Um, Also, for probiotics, I've been taking a lot of Greek yogurt with me to work. So that not only has probiotics, but it gives me my protein.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the Greek yogurt with a little bit of pineapple in it. So it's like the chobani, like pineapple on the bottom stuff, and I just mix it
Yep.
up.
Yeah. It's
So,
good stuff.
oh yeah, and it's smooth, it goes down real quick, and it's a quick snack. So I don't have to sit there. And most people think, oh, here we go, salad, chicken, rice, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, the boring bodybuilder diet. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I know practicality is important. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can't sit down and have a meal, what do you have? Especially it's going to help your gut.
Yeah, well, that's why
So,
I'm asking the question, because it's not like we're sitting down having a salad and a nice piece of chicken here, and like, you know,
right.
it's
So,
important to take a break to stop and eat like humans,
oh, yeah.
but you're still on a job site and you're still eating out of your cooler or your lunch bag. So,
Right. So basically, you know, your yogurt is going to have probiotics in it. Probiotics, it has, it's going to help absorb the food that you break down. Okay. So kimchi, Greek yogurt, um, are the main ones that I can think of right now for probiotics. There are other foods with them.
mm-hmm.
And, you know, Google is a great search engine.
Yep, it works very well.
um, for digestive enzymes, which is going to help break the food down. Your pineapples, your papayas, your mangoes, your bananas, kimchi, once again, kombucha, you know, those types of things, fermented foods, you know, the fermented vegetables and things like that are going to help with digesting, breaking down, and absorbing the food.
Okay,
Um,
so those
we,
things can, let's say I have some kind of gut issue that I'm feeling listening to what you're saying, that can be something that can help get me back on the right track. And if I can do that, my body will absorb the nutrients from the food that I eat. But if I have a gut issue,
mhm,
doesn't really matter what I eat. If I can't get that part back in balance, I'm never getting the full value, I guess.
right. And a lot of times processed foods hinders our gut health as well. So like your cupcakes, your candies, your cookies
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, that's going to play havoc on your gut. It's not going to be helpful. So if let's say you're like, I just absolutely cannot get that kind of stuff in my diet, what can I do? Well, there's always supplements. And supplements do just that. They supplement your diet. So if you have, and by no means can a supplement cure your bad diet. Over time, you will have to make those changes. So a supplement can help, yes. And if you are new to helping your gut health, a supplement, you're going to notice it. Within the first week, you're going to notice it. So I use like a green supplement that has digestive enzymes and probiotics in it because I know for a fact I'm not eating my 2 to 3 servings of probiotics or digestive enzymes
Okay.
on a daily basis. And 2 to 3 servings is like, okay, if a package says, you know, half a cup is a serving, you need a full cup, you know, for 2 servings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Don't don't overthink it. Don't be like, well, what's a serving? It's whatever the
It's
package is.
whatever says on. Yeah.
Yep. So you just want 2 to 3 of those. Um, and like I said, if you can't or aren't willing to do that, you can always supplement.
Are the supplements kind of like cheating though long term, or can that, like you said, like if you have a bad diet, it's not going to fix it. But you know, if let's say you're on days when you're on a job site, you're not able to get those 2 to 3 servings of greens. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just say I'm making up a scenario.
Yep.
So 5 days a week that can't work.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use a supplement for 5 days a week, or is that
Oh, oh yeah, for
yeah?
sure. Like if you take a green supplement, you want to be consistent with it. That's the only way you're going to see results,
Okay.
and that is the only way you're going to see consistency. So you want to take it every single day, even the days that you don't or do get in those
Oh,
servings.
really?
You're
Okay.
just going to have an added
You just
benefit.
got more greens.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's pretty helpful. Anything else?
Other than the gut health, another main key thing for nutrition would be protein.
Okay.
Why? Because almost absolutely everything in our body is made of protein. Our muscles, our bones, our blood, our immune system, our gut health, everything. Our hormones, basically everything is helped with protein or made by protein. Except for if you want to be smart about it, your adipose tissue ain't made of protein;
Yeah.
it's made of fat. Um, but yeah, majority of stuff in your body is made of protein. And if you look up online, the RDA, which is the recommended daily allowance, is going to tell you, oh, just get 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. That's actually way under what we need as laborers, because the 0.8 grams per pound of body weight is only there to basically
It's like
deter
a
any
baseline.
yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
very baseline. And like nobody in this job is laying in bed and just laying there. We're all up and moving. We're
Mm-hmm.
breaking down our muscle tissue. We're using up energy. And protein can be used as energy, but it's not the preferred energy source of the body. But that's a totally different subject, and that's the end of there.
Yeah.
But we need, from what I found, and I just want to put this out there, I'm not a dietitian, I'm just a personal trainer. I do a lot of education on my own time for nutrition. So, still do your research
Mm-hmm.
if you want to. I know some registered dietitians that y'all can talk to if you want to. Um, but what I found for me is that we need at least 1.2 grams per pound of body weight of protein. And that's to help maintain and rebuild any broken down muscle tissue, plus keep our immune system up.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that I get less than that, I'm sore. I don't feel as good. I'm just not recovering either. So it's super important to get in that protein. So for me, I weigh 100. I weighed in 126 this past yesterday. So for me, I eat 150 grams of protein. And maybe you're like, well, this is, too sciencey for me. Like, make it simple. And I totally get it,
Yeah.
because it can get deep.
Yeah. I'm not
So,
traveling with a scale to work.
yeah, I'm not traveling with the scale.
Yeah.
So basically, what um, the amount of protein that you need is just a palm-sized portion of protein. Or if you have a pre-packaged meal, it's 30 grams of protein each meal. Okay, so at 150 grams, I need 5 meals at 30 grams of protein. Or if I have a piece of meat, whether it's beef, chicken, turkey, pork, venison, fish, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be at least as big as the palm of my hand.
What about the thickness?
The just the same thickness.
It's basically, yeah,
Yep.
the full
Yep.
thing. The width, the length of the palm of the hand, and the
Yep.
thickness of that
Yep.
part of your
That's it.
hand, and that's it. That's your
Yep.
guideline. It's
Yep.
already there. It's on your body. You got two of them.
Yep. Yep. You got two.
There you go.
But yeah, don't include your fingers though, because a lot of people like to go, oh well, it's
Well,
include
I
your
have webbed
fingernails.
fingers, so
Yeah. No. Yeah.
yeah.
No, don't include your fingers,
Don't
just the
cheat.
palm. Don't
Yeah.
cheat. But yeah,
Cool.
um, protein is important. Super, super important. If anything, start with that. And if you can't get in your protein like meal replacement bars
Yeah.
help. They're super quick. I like to shove them in my pocket and take a bite of it while I'm working. I
Yeah.
fit it in that way. That, or you can use a protein shake. Some of them may leave you gassy and bloated, and some may not taste great. Um, that is because of their processing. So, what you want to look for is a low temperature processed kind of protein
Okay.
because it's going to help allow that protein be more bioavailable, which means that your body's going to utilize it better. And
So so
it's not,
it's just it's
go on.
less processed, so the body is able to handle it better. That's basically what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So low temperature processed protein. I guess they're kind of supplements too, right? Because if you're making a protein shake or something like that, so
Yeah, that's if you were shopping for like a protein powder, you would want to make sure it's low temperature processed because you're not going to have the bloating, the gas, the disgusting taste.
okay. So you got that. You got, and that's one way to get your protein. If you are going to eat like proper pieces of meat, hang around palm size of your hand or the size of the palm of your hand. Uh, get the green supplements if you're not going to get your 2 to 3 servings of greens every day. The probiotics, does that tie into the green supplements, or is that like in addition to?
That the greens, the green supplement that I take, and the reason why I take it is because it has digestive enzymes and probiotics in
Okay.
it.
So if I can find something that has both, then great.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I want to get the other one too.
You if you
Or
anything's better than nothing.
okay. All
Let's
right.
put it that way. But if you can get it all inclusive, all in one, it's better
Okay.
because the less supplements you got to take, I feel, you know, the easier it is to stick to.
Hmm.
And you don't ever want to try everything all at once. You want to try one thing and work on it at a time and make sure it becomes a habit before you start on something else. So keep it simple.
Okay. So we talked about stretching. We talked about actual strength training and working out to be in shape, to be at your peak condition so that you can perform the best, the longest. Talked about the importance of warming up and stretching, and it may seem silly, but you know what? It's the right move. And if you manage to do the whole team together, it's less silly than if you're the only one doing it. So that's a good way to get over that whole awkwardness. Let's just all do it together.
Oh yeah.
And then the nutrition part, and from a energy drink standpoint, it's okay. Just pay attention. If you consistently need to keep ingesting more and more and more caffeine because you're
Mm-hmm.
not feeling it anymore, it's probably time to lay off the go-go juice for a bit and calm down, and then you can get back on that train.
Oh yeah, I think that will be like the hardest one for everybody. It's the
Yeah, for
hardest one
sure.
for me. I know
There's a
this is.
habit too to having a coffee in the morning, you know,
Oh yeah, it's
and then
like you
another
look
one later.
forward to that a little bit. It's like I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, then I'll go to work and I'll have an energy drink at work, and then in the afternoon I'm like, I think I might need something. And I'm like, oh wait, better not. I'm gonna feel terrible. Plus, caffeine, after you drink 300 milligrams, it starts pulling nutrients away from your bones.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I found that out after my surgery that I had in a few years ago, 2000. Man, what? 2018.
okay. So 3 years ago.
So, yep. So, and I had to have a piece of bone taken out. So basically, my bone was broke, but it wasn't. They cut it to take a sliver out, so it was. They considered it a broken bone.
Sounds
So,
fun.
oh yeah, loads of fun. No, not really. A plate and 9 screws later is not fun.
Wow. In your back.
Nope, in my wrist.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that I found out through research that you want to stay away from caffeine if you have any type of bone issues because It doesn't allow it to heal. Caffeine is a vasoconstrictor, which means it's not going to allow your blood vessels to deliver all the nutrients and oxygen your body needs, which makes your workload harder and doesn't allow it, to recover as well. So it's kind of like suffocating your body of nutrients
Does that
in a
mean
way.
that you should like time your coffee differently throughout the day, or it's just how much caffeine you ingest if you overshoot that 300 milligrams?
Um, I read that over 300 milligrams in a day
Okay. So
will,
it's not really like if I have a coffee right after lunch that I'm.
yeah, I don't think it matters when you have it, but within that 24-hour period of time, if you have 300 grams or more, it's going to pull away from your bones.
Okay. Well, that's a
So,
relief.
yeah, especially for women too, like it's really important because we have a higher probability of getting osteoporosis and all that.
Hmm.
So, um, that's something that is key, especially as we age
And we all are
every day.
every day. Um, do you have anything you want to add? I got one last question for you. I'm just curious if you have anything else you want to add.
Drink your water. That's another big thing. That's probably the last key point I want to point out. So make sure you're drinking your water, a gallon minimum every day. And whenever it gets hot, you're probably looking you need 2 gallons just to stay hydrated.
Hmm.
And you can use, people will say, well, can I use Gatorade? Gatorade's not the best. It has sugar in it.
Yeah.
You're going to have that crash, so it's not going to help you at all. You can have like something with salt on it, like pretzels or chips, to help retain that water because your body has a salt water balance. Um, so just make sure you get in your water. If you have to take more bathroom breaks, I know a lot of employers may not like that, but it's either drink your water, take care of yourself because that lubricates your joints as well.
Hmm.
So if you're not drinking enough water, once again, you're going to get sore. You're going to be pounding on your joints. Arthritis, not the greatest feeling in the world. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people have arthritis.
Hmm.
So, yeah, water will definitely help with that.
That's good advice. That's definitely a thing that you see a lot. You see a lot where they'll go for the Gatorade before they go for the water.
Or they'll go for the Mountain Dew or Pepsi or
Yeah.
Dr.
Well,
Pepper. Or,
that's a whole other thing.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not doing any good for you.
No.
All right. So the last question I have for you today is, what advice would you give to employers in the industry who may have some preconceived notions about who they need to hire and why?
Well, I know it's hard. It's hard to say, but because I've had to help with a lot of hiring, and even I do it too. It's like judging a book by its cover, like judging somebody by the way they look and
Hmm.
whether or not they look physically capable. I did not look physically capable, but I was determined to become physically capable. I mean, not everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna dedicate, my life to becoming better." Not
Hmm.
everybody's like that.
Well,
But
heck,
if
like you said, a lot of people that they're out of shape when they start the year, and this is their career. So
yep,
yeah, it's a tough call to make.
oh yeah, don't judge them by the way they look. Listen to what they have to say, and then if they sound like they would be a good fit for your team, however or whatever your standards are, give them a shot. And if they're putting in the effort and they're willing to try, why not give them a chance? You know what I mean? We're already so hard up for employees.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of it this year where employees weren't given, I don't want to say, not that they weren't given enough time, but I don't think they were given enough credit for being new
Yeah.
and didn't know or didn't have the knowledge, or
Yeah.
it was expected to already know, or you're expected to learn something the very first day. You know, each day is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Each day is different for a project.
Mm-hmm.
Every project is different, and each day is different for that new person because they're learning and they're like on hyperspeed trying to learn everything going on around them. So like it's like imagine yourself in a situation that you've never done before. You don't know anyone. You don't know anything. Everyone's just racing around like animals around you,
Yep.
and you have to look good because everyone's looking at you because you're the new person and you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yep. It would be
Every
like,
day is like that, and then we
yep.
get frustrated. Like, well, what's up with this person? I thought they'd be good. They've been here 2 weeks. They've been here a month. Like they just don't get it.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard, and it's I can see it from both sides because I was there, and
Yeah.
I'm also to the point now that I have to help hire people, or I have to help train people. And it's hard because you go to this job and you have it quoted for X amount of dollars and you got to get it done in X amount of time,
Hmm.
and you got to
There's a
teach.
lot of pressure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to teach somebody. You got to show them what to do. Plus you got to still be doing what you're already supposed to be doing. And then you have to go back and maybe correct a bunch of mistakes. So there's a lot of pressure and a lot of and people end up feeling like I can't,
Forget it.
go
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said there about, looking for the right attitude and understanding. And I have a very, very firm belief in this. Like, we have to get over the things that make us uncomfortable if we want to grow. Like, that's just the way life works.
Mhm.
But it's even more that way in business because whatever got you here is not going to get you there. And
Right.
if you're looking at this labor shortage and you're saying, man, nobody wants to work, it's not true. There are people that want to work. They're just different from the people that you have right now or that
Oh
you've
yeah.
traditionally looked at. And you're a great example of what can happen when you get someone who has the right attitude, you give them a shot, and you give them like and you allow them to seize the opportunities that present themselves. And I think that's so critical. Like I could think of so many people that I know, you being one of them, but so many people that I know in this industry, even in our own company, that they got a shot and they don't want to let everyone down, and they'll
Mhm.
do whatever it takes to succeed. And that for me is one of the most rewarding parts of being on a team is that
Mhm.
aspect and seeing those people committing themselves, their energy, their time, their sanity at times
Oh
for the
yeah.
success of the team, and that means taking a lot on for yourself. And I really, really, really appreciate everything that you've shared with us because it's an incredible story when you think about it. It really is because 100-pound little blonde-eyed blue girl shows up on a job site and 10 years later, she's still there slinging block and telling the guys what to do. And now she's helping hire people too. And how did she get there? Well, she was just dedicated to becoming stronger and better and more capable every day. And
Mhm.
she hasn't stopped. That's a hell of a
Yeah.
story, man.
Thanks. I mean, and it doesn't come like you say for like hiring people. Yeah, and somebody gives them the shot. Maybe the employer can also you know in front of his team like, hey, we are a team.
Mm,
We have this goal, this job to do. Let's work together as a team. Yeah, we have a new person, So let's work together and get the job done and help this new person. Don't let it just fall back on one person.
Yeah.
You
This
have
new
a
person's
crew.
still part of the team. The
Right.
team wins and the team loses together. All these
Yep.
cliches from sports, like they're real.
Mhm.
They get abused, they get tossed around, and they begin to mean nothing. But it's so true when you're trying to build something good together.
Oh yeah, and the more you come together, the better the crew is.
Hmm.
And if you work as individuals, it's not going to work out real well.
No, it doesn't last. That's the thing. People
No.
move on, and then you're looking for new people, and it's so much bigger than just hiring a person.
Mhm.
and,
Oh
and
yeah.
you just hit the nail on the head. Like all these things add up, and when you have a team that sticks around for a decade, like man, you want to talk about efficiency. You want to talk about non-verbal communication. Like you can look at each other and just like give a look and like, okay, I'm coming, I'm coming. I know you need help.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it makes all the difference in the world. And that's what
Oh
makes it
yeah.
fun. Then it's super. Then you're just going to work to hang out.
Oh,
Like you're
pretty
just with your
much.
buddies.
Yep. Yep. I mean, you're there with your friends and it's like you have like this flow
Hmm.
and that's the way you go and then whenever you get somebody thrown into the mix, it's like, "Oh, wait a minute." And then you get them into the flow and then you just go. And it's
That's
just
it.
yep.
Oh, I love it. Well, listen, Becky, I really want to thank you for being on the show. This is probably the longest one we've done, but it's been really interesting because we've talked about a lot of different things, and they're helpful. And I really hope that the listeners like take these things to heart and not just brush it off and say like, yeah, like I'll get around. Like
Yeah.
it's important. It's important,
Yeah.
and the older you get, the more you realize how important that stuff is.
Oh yeah, and if anybody ever needs any help, you guys can always, reach out to me. And my profiles say, about helping women. I'll help guys too. It doesn't matter. Like my goal is to help this industry, the manual intensive laborers, get healthier because there's so many like benefits to it
Yep,
during your career as a manual intensive labor and afterwards. I mean, wouldn't you like to be able to play with your grandkids or your kids after you're done with
absolutely.
ease and not be
Yeah,
like, I can't do that, like
yeah.
I hurt too much or, you
Very
know.
comfortably walk around the neighborhood pointing with your grandkids. I built that. I built that.
Oh yeah, yep, yep. I do that with my kids. Hey, I
Yeah,
did that.
that's it. You want to keep doing that the rest of your life.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much. Actually, yeah. So for people who wanna reach out to you, give you a follow, it's at Becky Fidler Fitness, Fidler with one D, right?
Yep.
On Instagram, and yeah, just really want to thank you for being on the show. I know at the
Yeah.
beginning you were saying you were a little nervous. I think you
Oh
did
yeah.
great.
Thanks. I enjoyed doing it. It was my first podcast. I enjoyed doing it.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. Until next time, work hard, pave harder, and we'll see you next week on the Hardscape Growth Show.